Hey listeners, welcome to English Made Simple. Today we are unlocking the secret cheat code to expanding your vocabulary without memorizing boring lists.
Yes, finally.
Right, because imagine staring at a really dense, complicated legal contract, or um, maybe looking at a terrifying medical diagnosis on a doctor's chart.
Oh, that is the worst feeling.
It really is. But imagine instantly knowing what those words mean without ever having seen them before.
It sounds like a superpower.
Exactly. So if you have ever looked at a massive English word and just felt a sudden wave of panic, you are going to love this deep dive. Today, we are completely moving away from brute force memorization. We are going to become language detectives.
And that shift in perspective is, well, it's everything, really, because learning English can feel incredibly overwhelming for a very simple reason.
There are just way too many words.
Yeah, there are just so many words. But the secret to mastering this language is actually understanding its history, because English is essentially a thief.
A thief. I
Wow.
love that.
It is. Over centuries, through invasions and the Renaissance, it stole heavily from Latin and ancient Greek.
Right, right.
So because of that, English words are not just random sounds. They operate a lot more like building blocks. Think of them like Lego bricks, if you want to picture it that way.
Okay, Lego bricks. I can
Right.
picture that.
Yeah. Most big, intimidating words are just small, simple root blocks stuck together. So if you know the core block, the root, you can easily guess the meaning of the entire structure.
So instead of trying to, swallow the whole dictionary, we just need to recognize the handful of Lego bricks that make up the vast majority of the language.
Exactly. It's so much faster.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to start by looking at the most relatable topic in the world, which is just ourselves. The human family tree.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, because it stands to reason that our language would prioritize roots that describe our physical bodies and, who we are.
Oh, absolutely. So let's pull out our first building block. It's the root anthropo.
Anthropo.
Yeah, this is a very old Greek block that simply means human. So whenever you're reading an article or maybe listening to the news and you see anthropode hiding inside a word, your brain should immediately flag it.
Like, oh, this is about human beings.
Right. Take a really common academic word like anthropology.
Right.
If we snap the suffix ology onto the end, which means the study, we get the literal translation. Anthropology is the study of humans, our history, our cultures, how we evolved.
Okay, that makes the academic side super clear. But what about a word you hear in the news all the time, like philanthropy?
Oh, great example.
Because whenever a famous billionaire gives a massive amount of money to charity, the headlines always call him a philanthropist. Does that have the human Lego block in it?
It does, but it's sitting next to another very important block, the root phil, P-H-I-L.
Okay, what does that one mean?
It means love. So when you take the love block and you snap it right next to the anthropo block, philanthropy literally translates to the love of humanity.
Wow.
Yeah. So when someone donates millions to build a hospital, they are practicing philanthropy because their actions actually demonstrate a love and care for human beings.
I really like how elegant that is. The mechanics of the word just tell you the emotional meaning behind it.
It's built right in.
So let's get a bit more specific within the human family. What if we are just talking about men or women?
We have specific blocks for that too. The root andros means male or man.
Andros. Okay.
And you actually interact with this root all the time, probably every single day. The most common place you see it is sitting right in your pocket, an Android phone.
Wait, really? My smartphone has the Greek root for man inside it.
It sure does.
How does that even work?
Well, let's break down the bricks. The suffix oid means resembling or looking like.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. So if you put them together, an android is quite literally a machine or a robot that is designed to look and think like a human male.
That is wild.
Yeah. Decades ago, science fiction writers started using that specific word for their futuristic robots. And eventually, tech companies just adopted it for their mobile operating systems because it sounded smart and, futuristic.
That is so fascinating. So the phone in my pocket is linguistically a little robotic man.
Exactly.
But what happens if you add a negative block to it, like a bad word?
So that brings us to prefixes. If you take the prefix mis, which means hate or wrong, and attach it to our andros root, you get the word misandrist.
Oh, okay.
So a misandrist is a person who holds a deep dislike or prejudice or hatred against men.
Let me test this logic then. If andros is the root for men, what is the building block for women?
The root is jinn. spelled Gynn.
Okay, got it.
Whenever you spot those three letters grouped together, the word is almost certainly relating to women. The place you'll encounter this most often is in medicine.
Like gynecology.
Exactly. Gynecology is the branch of medical science dedicated entirely to women's health.
So following that exact same Lego logic we just used, if you take the hate block, misor, and snap it onto gin, you build the word misogynist.
You got it. Someone who holds a deep prejudice or hatred against women.
I'm starting to see how much power this gives you as a reader. It's like you can decode anything. Let's keep exploring this family tree. I imagine there were specific blocks for mother and father, too.
You would be right. For father, the root is pater, or patrer, and for mother, it's mater, or matra.
Okay, pater and mater.
Yeah. Think about history or sociology classes. You often hear the word patriarchy.
Oh, sure.
The suffix archy is another building block that means rule or government. So a patriarchy is a society ruled by men, or literally, a society ruled by the fathers.
Following that rule, a matriarchy would be a society ruled by women or mothers.
Exactly.
And I can see this bleeding into everyday adjectives, too, like words like paternal and maternal.
Yes, perfectly said.
If a friend says she feels a maternal instinct toward a stray kitten she found, she just means she has a natural motherly urge to protect it.
Right, it connects right back to the root.
You know, visualizing these words as blocks is great, but another image is kind of forming in my head right now.
Oh, what's that?
These roots are basically like genetic DNA.
How do you mean?
Well, think about how genetics work.
Hmm.
You look at a person and you might immediately recognize their father's nose or maybe their mother's smile.
Sure.
Once you know what physical traits to look for, you spot that family resemblance everywhere.
Right.
Words work the exact same way. Once you spot that pater or mater DNA inside a long word, you immediately know who the parent of that word is.
Oh, that is a phenomenal way to look at it.
Right. You might not know the exact dictionary definition yet, but you know the family it belongs to.
Exactly. You're learning to recognize the DNA of the language. It completely removes the fear of the unknown.
It really does. But let's shift gears slightly here. We just talked about human DNA, men and women, fathers and mothers, as distinct, separate categories. But as humans evolved, we didn't just sit around staring at each other. We had to form societies, trade goods, make agreements, and, count things.
Very true.
So how does our language DNA handle numbers or situations where things are divided or combined?
So this is where the roots become incredibly practical for everyday life, especially in business or formal English. Let's start with the base level, the roots, for one.
Okay.
In English, we pull from both Latin and Greek, so we actually have two common blocks here, uni and mono. Both simply mean one or single.
I see uni constantly. A word like unique comes to mind. If a piece of art is unique, there's only one of it in the entire world.
Exactly.
But I also see it at work. Like, if my boss makes a unilateral decision, it usually means I'm in for a rough week.
Well, let's apply our root logic to that workplace scenario. Lateral refers to a side.
Okay.
So a unilateral decision is literally a one-sided choice. Your boss didn't ask the team for input. One person just made the decision for everyone.
Okay, that makes total sense. And mono functions the exact same way.
It does.
Like, if I read an article about religion and I see the word monotheist, I know mono means one, and theist relates to a god. So it's someone who believes in a single god.
Precisely. Now, if we scale up to the number 2, the primary block we use is bi. B-I.
Okay, that one is almost too obvious, like a bicycle has two wheels.
It is obvious, but it is super powerful when applied to complex situations. Remember that frustrating unilateral decision your boss made?
Yeah, unfortunate memories.
Well, if instead your company sat down with another company and they worked things out together, they would form a bilateral agreement.
Two sides coming together.
Exactly. You also see this root heavily used when measuring time. A biennial event is something that happens in a 2-year cycle.
Okay, wait, let me push back here for a second.
Yeah.
Because this is a huge trap for a lot of English learners. What about biannual? People mix up biennial and biannual all the time.
That is a brilliant point, and it really shows why you have to pay attention to the block attached to the root. So a biennial event takes 2 years to happen once, but a biannual event happens twice within a single year.
Oh, wow, okay.
The root bi just tells you the number 2 is involved somewhere. The rest of the word tells you how the math actually works.
That distinction is crucial. Okay, so uni's one side, bi is two sides. What happens when the lines are blurry? Like, what if something is a little bit of both?
For those gray areas, we use the root ambi, A-M-B-I.
Ambi.
Yeah, it carries the meaning of both, or around. It implies that there isn't one dominant side. The classic physical example is someone who is ambidextrous.
Oh, right.
If you can write a letter with your left hand and then write just as neatly with your right hand, you are using both sides equally well.
That is a neat party trick, but I usually see the ambi block when things are like really frustrating or confusing.
Like what?
Like the word ambiguous. If someone sends me an ambiguous text message that just says, fine, I have no idea what it means. It could mean I am genuinely fine, or it could mean I am incredibly angry but refusing to talk about it.
Right. And why is it confusing? Because it contains both possibilities at the exact same time. The ambi root tells you the meaning is scattered in multiple directions.
This perfectly explains a psychological term I use all the time too, ambivert.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Because we constantly label people as introverts, who recharge by being alone, or extroverts, who get their energy from big crowds. But most people don't fit perfectly into those boxes.
Very true.
An ambivert is a person who enjoys a lively party, but also deeply needs their quiet Sunday mornings. They are both. It snaps the ambi block onto the personality block perfectly.
And notice what you just did there. You didn't reach for a dictionary to define ambivert. You looked the structural DNA of the word and let the logic reveal the definition to you.
It is a totally different way to read. I love it. Okay, so we've established who we are and how we organize ourselves into ones, twos, or both.
Yep.
But humans don't just exist. We take action. Do these roots work for the things we do every day?
They absolutely do. Roots are basically the engine of our verbs and action-based nouns. We can look at moving, looking, speaking, and even sleeping.
Let's start with movement.
The foundational block for moving is migrer, M-I-G-R.
So migration, like when the seasons change and you watch a documentary about the migration of birds flying across a continent, the whole flock is moving.
Exactly. And we apply that exact same block to human populations, but the prefixes we snap onto the front tell us the direction of the movement.
Okay, how does that work?
If you read a news story about an immigrant spelled with an I at the beginning, that I block acts like an arrow pointing inward. It means someone is moving into a new country to settle down.
But if the news just uses the word migrant,
Without the inward pointing prefix, a migrant simply refers to someone who is moving around. Perhaps they're traveling from region to region for seasonal farming work without permanently settling. The migrer root alone just guarantees that movement is happening.
that makes reading the news so much clearer. What about the act of looking or seeing?
For that, we pull out the root spect. Think of the old-fashioned word for glasses, spectacles. They are tools that help you look.
Which perfectly explains a word like spectator.
Yes.
Because if I go to a tennis match, I'm sitting in the stands, I'm not hitting the ball, my only job is to look at the people playing. So I am a spectator.
Spot on.
But what about abstract concepts? I go to a lot of art galleries, and they're always advertising retrospective shows for famous painters.
Well, let's dismantle that word. The prefix retro means backwards or looking at the past, and our root spect means to look.
Oh, wow.
So a retrospective is quite literally the act of looking backwards. An art gallery is taking all the paintings an artist did 20 years ago and allowing you to look back at their career.
I love how the physical action creates the metaphorical meaning. Let me try to decode one myself.
Go for it.
The word circumspect. If I break it down, circum sounds like circle, meaning all around, and spect means look. So literally it means to look around in a circle. But how does that translate to everyday English?
Well, put yourself in a physical scenario. Imagine you are about to walk into a really dark alley or cross a very busy highway. What do?
You stop and you look around in a circle. You check every direction for danger.
Exactly. Because of that physical action, the word circumspect evolved to mean being incredibly cautious, careful, and aware of your surroundings before you make a decision.
That is brilliant. The literal DNA creates the emotional definition. All right, we've moved, we've looked. What about speaking?
English is incredibly rich with words for communication. Two of the most vital blocks here are loqua and dict. Let's start with loqua.
Okay, loca.
If you have a coworker who simply will not stop talking during a meeting, someone who checks for an hour without taking a single breath, you would describe them as loquacious.
Oh, I definitely have a few loquacious coworkers. And what if someone is a beautiful speaker? Like a politician who gives a speech that literally gives you goosebumps.
You would say they speak with eloquence. It is the refined, powerful art of speaking. Now let's look at the other block, dict.
Dick.
This also means to say or to speak, but it often carries a bit more authority.
Oh, like a dictionary. A massive book full of all the words you can say.
Exactly. And look at how it plays with time. Let's snap the prefix pre, which means before, onto our dict block.
Okay.
To predict the weather literally means to say what will happen before it actually happens.
Or if I use the prefix contra, which means against. If someone makes a point in a meeting and I contradict them, I'm literally speaking against their idea.
See? You are seeing the matrix of the language now.
Let's do one more action.
Right.
What is the root for something passive, like sleeping?
The root for sleep is som. S-O-M-N.
A psalm. Got it.
If you are incredibly stressed out, tossing and turning in bed at 3 a.m., you are suffering from insomnia. The prefix interpases simply means not, and som means sleep, a state of not sleeping.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can push this cheat code to its absolute limit right now.
Let's see it.
If somniloquy is the Lego block for sleep, and we just learned that loquy is the Lego block for talking, can I literally just snap them together? Like, is somniloquy a real word, and does it mean talking in your sleep?
It is absolutely a real word, and that is its exact definition.
No way.
Yes. A somniloquy is the act of speaking while you are asleep. You just successfully built and defined a highly advanced, obscure English word using 2 simple blocks you learned minutes ago.
If you've been enjoying listening to this, consider subscribing. Because learning these mechanics is the kind of practical knowledge that permanently changes how you absorb information.
It truly is. Once you train your eyes to see the blocks, you really can never unsee them.
So we've covered moving, looking, and speaking. But let's take this one step further into how humans actually connect.
Okay.
We interact with people all day, but how do we evaluate them? Like, how do we know if what someone is saying is true or if they're safe to be around?
That brings us to a really fascinating set of roots concerning trust, truth, and danger. Let's begin with trust.
Sounds good.
The block for faith or trust is FID. F-I-D. Think about your closest friend. When you have complete trust in them, you might share a deep personal secret. In English, we say that you confide in them. You are placing your faith in them to keep your information safe.
Which naturally leads to the word fidelity. If you hear someone talking about fidelity in a marriage or a business partnership, they're talking about faithfulness and loyalty.
Right.
The DNA of trust is right there in the word.
Right.
But let's be realistic, people aren't always trustworthy. What is the root for something fake?
The root for false or fake is pseudo. P-S-E-U-D-O.
Okay, pseudo.
You will see this attached as a warning label to many concepts. For instance, pseudoscience.
Oh, yeah.
This describes a product or a belief system that dresses itself up to look like real science. Maybe they use lab coats and fancy charts, but has no actual proof or methodology. It is fake science.
I see this constantly in the literary world. Think about the word pseudonym. This is such a cool connection.
Oh, let's hear it.
Another building block we haven't talked about yet is nom or nim, which means name.
Yes.
So if pseudo is fake and nim is name, a pseudonym is a fake name. When a famous author wants to write a controversial book without ruining their reputation, they publish it under a pseudonym, a pen name.
That is a perfect application of the nom root.
And once you know that nom means name, other confusing words make total sense.
Like which ones?
Have you ever heard someone call an idea a misnomer? We know mis means wrong, and nomer is a name. So misnomer is simply an inaccurate name for something.
Right.
Like calling a koala bear. It's a misnomer because a koala is a marsupial knack. It's not a bear at all.
Perfect example.
Or if a software company offers a trial for a nominal fee, it means the fee is so incredibly small that it only exists in name only. It's essentially free.
And recognizing those fakes and wrong names is exactly how we search for truth.
Yeah.
When we want the truth, we want clarity. The root block for clear, shining, or glowing is canned. C-A-N-D.
Okay, canned.
If you sit down with your friend and ask them to tell you the brutal, honest truth without hiding anything, you are asking them to be candid.
Oh, like a candid photograph. That makes perfect sense.
Exact.
A candid photo isn't posed or faked. It's a clear, honest capture of a real moment.
You nailed it. And if you take that same root and apply it to physical heat, you get incandescent.
Like an incandescent light bulb.
Right. If you heat a metal wire until it is glowing brightly and clearly, like the filament in those old bulbs, it is an incandescent light.
But let's talk about the dark side of this. Sometimes situations aren't just unclear or fake, they are actively harmful.
Right. For danger, we look for the root tox, which means poison. The most literal application is toxic.
Which we hear all the time now.
We do. Historically, we use this just for poisonous chemicals or venom, but language evolves, and today we apply this root to human behavior.
So true.
If a friend constantly makes you feel terrible or a company demands you work 80 hours a week, we call that a toxic relationship or a toxic workplace. The environment is literally acting as a poison to your mental health.
And when you finally escape a toxic situation, you have to heal, which introduces the word detoxification.
Yes, great connection.
We know D means to remove. So detoxification is the deliberate process of removing the poison, the bad habits, the bad people, the bad chemicals from your life.
Related to that removal process is the root purg, which means to clean. P-U-R-G.
Like purging.
Exactly. If you decide to purge your apartment, you are cleaning out all the useless junk you've collected over the years to create a fresh, clean space.
This is so empowering. We have covered an enormous amount of ground today, from human bodies to counting, to talking, to detecting poison. Let's pull all the way back to look at the biggest picture possible.
Okay.
Is there a root block that just covers absolutely everything?
There is. It is the root pan. P-A-N. It simply means all.
Pan means all.
Yes. Imagine scientists in a lab finally discover a single miraculous pill that cures every known illness in the human body. A cure for all problems. We would call that a panacea.
Oh, and I use this root on my smartphone camera.
Panorama mode.
Exactly. When I am standing on top of a mountain and I sweep my camera from left to right to capture the entire landscape, that setting is called a panorama. It's an all-around view.
Perfect example.
But wait, let me challenge this rule really quick. Because as an English learner, rules always seem to have exceptions.
Usually do.
If pan means all,
What about a pancake? Or pants? I'm pretty sure a pancake doesn't mean all the cakes. Are there traps here?
that is an incredibly smart challenge, and yes, there are traps. Linguists call these false friends.
False friends. I like that.
Sometimes words look like they contain a Greek or Latin root, but their history is completely different. A pancake gets its name from the flat metal cooking pan it's made in, which comes from an old Germanic word, not the Greek word for all.
Okay, it makes sense.
And pants comes from the name of an Italian comedy character, Pantalone. So while the cheat code works a vast majority of the time, you still have to use context.
So you can't just blindly trust the spelling.
Right. If the sentence is about global health, pan means all. If it's about breakfast, it's just a cooking tool. That is a crucial warning. Context is always king. But even with the false friends, knowing that pan usually means all explains heavy concepts instantly. Like a pandemic,
Yes.
a disease that doesn't just stay in one city, but spreads to all people across all borders.
That is the power of understanding the DNA of the language. And I want to leave you with a final empowering thought today.
Please do.
The English dictionary holds over 1 million words. When you hear a number that massive, it feels completely terrifying. How could anyone, even a native speaker, ever learn them all?
It sounds impossible.
The truth is, you don't have to. Whenever you encounter a massive, intimidating word in the wild, don't panic. Take a breath and look closely at the structure of the word.
Just break it into those Lego pieces.
Exactly. You might just spot a friendly, familiar root hiding inside, waiting to hand you the definition. The real power of fluency isn't in memorizing what other people wrote. The power is in realizing you hold the keys to unlock any word you find.
That is the ultimate language hack right there. You don't have to be afraid of dense English anymore. You have the tools to actually take it apart and play with it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the building blocks of vocabulary. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe for more.